Ladies and gentlemen, love is one of the greatest mysteries of life. It is sought after by millions, celebrated in songs and stories, and yet often misunderstood. Many chase after love in fleeting relationships, relying on their own wisdom, only to be met with heartache and disappointment. But when God is the one writing the love story, it is not temporary, it is eternal, purposeful, and unshakable. From the very beginning, love's designed by God, the union of two hearts, is not just a coincidence or a result of human effort. It is a divine masterpiece. However, the problem arises when we try to take control of the pen, writing our own love story without consulting the author of life. This leads to unnecessary pain, confusion, and brokenness. So to those waiting for their love story to unfold, wait with faith. To those in the middle of their journey, walk with trust. And to those who may have experienced heartbreak, remember, God never forgets his promises. When he writes your love story, it is not just for a moment, it is forever. In a world where instant gratification has become the norm, waiting for the right person in God's time can feel challenging. Society often pressures individuals into rushing relationships, making them believe that love must happen within a specific time frame. Many people, out of impatience, try to force love by settling for relationships that are not meant for them, only to face heartbreak and disappointment. However, when we understand that God's timing is perfect, we learn to trust his plan rather than our own desires. Divine timing is not about delays or denials. It is about preparation. God is not just working on bringing the right person into your life. He is also working on making you the right person. A strong, lasting relationship requires emotional, mental, and spiritual maturity. Without these qualities, even the best relationships can crumble. Many times people think they are ready for love, but in reality they need to grow in faith, develop patience, and learn the values that will sustain a lifelong commitment. Consider a farmer who plants seeds in the soil. He does not expect the crop to grow overnight. He understands that every plant has a season for growth, and any attempt to rush the process could ruin the harvest. Similarly, love has a divine season. If we rush into relationships without allowing God to prepare us, we may find ourselves in situations where love feels forced, unhealthy, or unfulfilling. But when we allow God to write our love story, everything aligns at the right time, in the right way, and with the right person. Many times, people become anxious because they see others in relationships while they are still waiting. They begin to compare their lives, wondering why love has not come to them yet. However, comparison often leads to unnecessary pressure and unwise decisions. Just because someone else's love story is unfolding now does not mean yours should too. Every individual has a unique path, and God's plan for your love story is distinct from anyone else's. Biblical stories teach us the importance of divine timing. Take the story of Ruth, for example. After losing her husband, she could have hurried into another marriage out of loneliness, but she remained faithful and trusted God. In his perfect timing, he brought Boaz into her life, a man who honored, respected, and cherished her. Their union was not only a blessing to them, but also played a part in God's greater plan, leading to the lineage of King David and, ultimately, Jesus. When we trust in God's timing, we experience a love that is not forced or temporary, but one that is deeply fulfilling and everlasting. Waiting is not a punishment. It is God's way of ensuring that we receive his very best. Love that comes in divine timing will be strong enough to endure trials, pure enough to reflect God's love, and lasting enough to withstand the test of time. Therefore, instead of rushing ahead, embrace the process. Trust the author of love, and know that when God writes your love story, it will come to pass at the perfect moment. A love story written by God is not merely based on emotions, attraction, or convenience. It is deeply rooted in faith. When a relationship is built on faith, it goes beyond surface-level connections and becomes something that is strong, enduring, and spiritually fulfilling. Too often, people enter relationships based solely on personal desires or societal expectations without considering the deeper foundation needed to sustain love. However, without a firm foundation in faith, relationships can easily crumble when faced with challenges. Faith in a relationship is not just about attending the same church or sharing religious beliefs. It is about a shared commitment to spiritual growth, values, and purpose. A relationship grounded in faith prioritizes God above all else, recognizing that love is not just about fulfilling personal needs, but about serving and honoring Him. When two people come together under God's guidance, their love is not self-centered, it becomes a reflection of His love. Pure, patient, and selfless. One of the biggest challenges in modern relationships is that many are built on temporary emotions rather than lasting principles. Feelings can change, circumstances can shift, and hardships can arise. However, faith provides stability. It reminds couples that love is not just about how they feel in the moment, but about their commitment to one another through every season of life. A relationship that lacks faith is vulnerable to doubt, insecurity, and external pressures, but one that is anchored in faith remains strong even in the face of trials. Faith also teaches patience and trust. In a world where many seek immediate gratification, faith reminds us that true love requires time, effort, and divine guidance. It encourages individuals to seek a partner who aligns with their values and beliefs, rather than settling for convenience or temporary happiness. When both individuals have a relationship with God, they rely on Him for wisdom, guidance, and strength, rather than leaning solely on their own understanding. A relationship built on faith also fosters forgiveness and grace. Every relationship faces difficulties, misunderstandings, and conflicts. Without faith, small disagreements can turn into major divisions. But when both partners trust in God, they learn to extend grace, communicate with kindness, and resolve conflicts with humility. Faith encourages couples to see love as a lifelong commitment rather than a temporary emotion that fades when difficulties arise. The Bible teaches that love is patient, kind, and not self-seeking. A God-centered relationship reflects these qualities because it is guided by His principles rather than worldly standards. When faith is the foundation, love is not built on superficial qualities, but on deep respect, trust, and a shared vision for the future. Ultimately, a relationship built on faith is one that endures. It is not easily shaken by hardships or external influences because it is rooted in something greater than human strength. It is anchored in God's unchanging love. Such a relationship does not just survive, it thrives, bringing joy, peace, and purpose to both individuals while also serving as a testimony of God's faithfulness to the world. Couples to see love as a lifelong commitment rather than a temporary emotion that fades when difficulties arise. The Bible teaches that love is patient, kind, and not self-seeking. A God-centered relationship reflects these qualities because it is guided by His principles rather than worldly standards. When faith is the foundation, love is not built on superficial qualities, but on deep respect, trust, and a shared vision for the future. Ultimately, a relationship built on faith is one that endures. It is not easily shaken by hardships or external influences, because it is rooted in something greater than human strength. It is anchored in God's unchanging love. Such a relationship does not just survive, it thrives, bringing joy, peace, and purpose to both individuals, while also serving as a testimony of God's faithfulness to the world. A God-written love story is not exempt from difficulties. In fact, challenges are a necessary part of its journey. Many people have an unrealistic expectation that love, when divinely orchestrated, will be effortless and free of struggles. However, true, lasting love is not defined by the absence of problems, but by the ability to overcome them with faith, patience, and perseverance. Challenges in a relationship serve a higher purpose. They are not meant to break a couple apart, but to refine their love, strengthen their bond, and teach them valuable lessons that prepare them for a lifelong commitment. Just as gold is purified through fire, love is tested and strengthened through trials. Without challenges, love remains shallow, untested, and fragile. One of the most common challenges couples face is misunderstanding. No two people think, feel, or communicate in exactly the same way. Differences in personality, background, and expectations can lead to conflicts. However, when a relationship is built on God's foundation, these misunderstandings become opportunities for growth, rather than reasons to give up. Learning to listen, to understand, and to respect one another despite differences is part of the refining process. External pressures also pose challenges to relationships. Society, family expectations, career demands, and even personal fears can create stress. At times, people around us may question our relationship, or circumstances may make it difficult to stay together. However, when God has written a love story, no external force can erase it. Couples who trust in God's plan learn to rely on Him during difficult times, rather than allowing external challenges to shake their commitment. Another challenge is the test of patience. Love requires endurance, and there will be seasons where one or both partners feel discouraged, tired, or uncertain. In these moments, it is easy to question whether the relationship is truly from God. However, just because something is difficult does not mean it is not meant to be. The greatest love stories in history are those that endured hardship and emerged stronger. Forgiveness is another key challenge in relationships. No one is perfect and mistakes will be made. Sometimes hurtful words are spoken or actions cause pain. A love that is centered on God understands the importance of forgiveness and grace. Rather than holding on to resentment, partners must learn to extend mercy, just as God extends mercy to us. Holding on to past wounds only weakens a relationship, but forgiveness allows love to continue growing. A love story written by God is not measured by how easy the journey is, but by how well two people navigate challenges together. When couples turn to God during difficulties, they find strength beyond their own. Their love becomes more than just an emotional connection. It becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness and power. In the end, challenges do not destroy a God-ordained love story. They shape it, refine it, and make it unshakable. Love that has been tested through trials emerges stronger, deeper, and more beautiful than before, proving that when God is the author, no difficulty can erase what He has written. When God writes a love story, it is not temporary or fragile. It is unbreakable and eternal. Many relationships in the world today struggle because they are built on human emotions, personal desires, or societal expectations. These foundations can be weak and unstable, causing love to fade over time. However, a love story written by God is different. It is not something that can be erased by trials, misunderstandings, or external influences. It stands firm because it is built on His divine plan and purpose. One of the greatest assurances in a God-ordained relationship is that no force, whether distance, hardship, or even mistakes, can erase what He has established. This does not mean that there will be no struggles, but it does mean that such a relationship has the strength to withstand them. When two people are united by God's will, their love is protected by His guidance and sustained by His grace. Many people experience fear in relationships. The fear of being abandoned, the fear of failure, or the fear that love will not last. These fears are natural, especially in a world where many relationships end in heartbreak. However, when love is rooted in God, it does not depend on human effort alone. It is covered by His promises, and His promises never fail. When two people seek God together, they find security not just in each other, but in the one who brought them together. An important characteristic of a God-written love story is endurance. The world often portrays love as something that comes and goes, something that fades with time. But real love, the kind that God authors, is designed to endure forever. It is not dependent on feelings, circumstances, or convenience. It is strengthened through faith, commitment, and mutual dedication. This kind of love does not give up easily. It fights for what God has brought together, knowing that His plan is greater than any temporary struggle. The Bible provides countless examples of enduring love, love that overcomes trials, withstands opposition, and lasts beyond human limitations. One of the greatest examples is the love between Christ and His people. His love is not based on conditions or circumstances. It is eternal, unchanging, and filled with grace. Similarly, a God-written relationship reflects this same kind of enduring love. It is a love that forgives, that sacrifices, and that remains strong even when challenges arise. A relationship that is truly from God will not be shaken by the opinions of others, by personal insecurities, or by difficult seasons. It will stand the test of time because it is not built on human strength alone, but on divine purpose. No one can erase what God has written, and no hardship can undo what He has established. When God writes a love story, it is not just for a season, it is for eternity. It is a love that leaves a legacy, one that inspires others, and one that reflects His perfect and everlasting love. Such love is unbreakable, unwavering, and undeniable. A love story written by God is unlike any other. It is not rushed by human impatience, not shaken by challenges, not weakened by worldly pressures, and never erased by external forces. When we surrender our love story to Him, we find peace in His perfect plan. We learn that waiting is not a punishment, but a preparation, that faith is the true foundation of lasting love, that challenges are opportunities to grow stronger together, and that a love ordained by God will stand the test of time. So whether you are waiting for your love story to begin, nurturing the one God has given you, or healing from past disappointments, remember this: when God writes your love story, no one can erase it. Trust in Him, walk in faith, and allow His hand to guide your heart. For what He has written is not just for today, it is for eternity.